McLaren secured their fourth victory of the 2024 season, but it wasn't with the driver who's closest to Max in the Drivers' Championship. Oscar Piastri has now matched Norris in the number of wins for McLaren, despite the Brit being in his fifth year with the Woking-based team. Previously, McLaren was adrift before this season, and now it's clear that Norris will face significant pressure from his teammate, not just in 2024, but looking ahead to 2025 as well. With Piastri now closer to Norris than Norris is to Verstappen, could the internal dynamics at McLaren shift? More importantly, could Piastri be McLaren's next world champion after Hamilton? It's fair to say that Oscar Piastri was the standout performer in Baku, and after a remarkable pass on Leclerc during the 20th lap, the Aussie delivered a defensive masterclass against a very fast SF24 piloted by Leclerc. Norris played his part too, holding up Perez in the second sector as Piastri exited the pit lane just ahead of them both. However, the fact that Piastri and Norris now share an equal number of wins, not only in 2024, but throughout their time at McLaren, raises many questions. The most pressing one is Piastri becoming McLaren's new number one driver? McLaren has been firm in addressing this issue. Zak Brown has made it clear that there isn't a defined number one driver in the team. However, because of how close Norris is to Verstappen in the championship standings, he will be given priority when the situation allows. So, the idea of Piastri competing for the 2024 championship seems far-fetched, especially considering that he trails Verstappen by 91 points. Still, being just 32 points behind Norris and 13 points away from the next driver shows that Piastri's season could improve significantly in the remaining 7 races. Piastri's management by Webber also suggests there may be terms in his contract that prevent McLaren from designating him as a clear second driver. McLaren has chosen its words carefully, saying they will handle this situation on a race-by-race basis. However, Piastri's manager Webber hasn't given specific advice regarding McLaren's internal rules, known as the Papaya rules. According to Piastri, Webber has been heavily involved in discussions with both himself and the team but hasn't focused on team orders. Webber has consistently been part of the conversations, guiding Piastri and the team. Piastri mentioned that Webber hasn't provided advice on past team disputes or orders, as the current circumstances differ. Instead, it's been about working cooperatively, understanding what support can be offered and what Piastri is willing to compromise on. It's more about mutual guidance rather than strict instructions. When asked about McLaren's team orders, Piastri explained that while the team might ask for his assistance, he won't comply in every scenario. He highlighted that McLaren's values prioritize fairness, and it's not set in stone that he'll forfeit a race position regardless of the situation. There remains some flexibility, as everyone within the team agrees that exceptional performance during a race should be rewarded. Looking at the last 10 races, it's clear that Piastri has been the highest scorer with 169 points, averaging 16.9 points per race. Norris follows with 153 points. The fact that Norris, who's considered Verstappen's main challenger, only scored 1 point more than Piastri in this span, raises questions about McLaren's plans for 2025. It's becoming evident that Norris won't have an easy time competing against his teammate once the season resets. Piastri's manager, Mark Webber, praised Piastri's second win, calling it more dominant than his first, which Webber had described as somewhat confusing. After the race, Webber noted that it was one of Piastri's best drives, full of pressure and decisive moves. Webber called Piastri's performance absolutely magical, adding that beating Norris was a significant accomplishment. Karan Chandhok from Sky Sports echoed this sentiment, stating that Piastri is no longer the next big thing in Formula One, he's already a star. While some questioned his first victory, Chandhok said there's no doubt that Piastri fully deserved this latest triumph. Still, Piastri has room for improvement. For instance, his performance in Zandvoort was hampered by his inability to capitalize on a tire advantage, preventing him from fighting Verstappen for a P2 finish. Bad luck in Miami also cost him a P3 or P4 finish due to a crash with Sainz, but Piastri has shown he's got what it takes when the car's package is right. If I were Norris, I'd be worried about my position at McLaren. Yet, many seem to have forgotten how strong Norris was with McLaren in the past. He effectively ended Ricciardo's career at McLaren by outperforming him in 2022. In his rookie season, Norris scored 49 points, which was impressive given McLaren had the fourth fastest car. Norris was the only driver outside of Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari to step onto the podium in 2022, a feat that's often overlooked when people talk about his current struggles. The conversation about the mindset of both Piastri and Norris is ongoing, with many noting that Piastri appears to remain calm under pressure. A key example is when Piastri ignored his race engineer's advice and launched a bold attack on Leclerc in Turn 1, catching Leclerc off guard. Piastri later said there was only a 50-50 chance of making the corner, but he knew his tires were overheating from following Leclerc for so long. His decision-making was excellent, and he displayed solid defensive skills after that. This isn't to discredit Norris, who also climbed 9 positions in the race, including benefiting from a crash involving Sainz and Perez. Norris managed to extend the life of his tires for 38 laps in the first stint, but his failure to perform well in qualifying raises doubts about whether he could have competed with Piastri in the race. McLaren's post-Baku meetings are expected to be intriguing. As team principal Andrea Stella mentioned, the team has 3 primary goals to discuss, ensuring that in race decisions don't harm the team's interests, focusing on the team's goals, and figuring out how to win both championships. Stella admitted that McLaren would reassess the situation after Baku. Seeing Piastri win while Norris only cut down his lead by 3 points, starting from P15, suggests McLaren may be re-evaluating its stance on Piastri. Zak Brown, however, believes that Piastri will still help Norris, even though the Baku race demonstrated that this might not always be possible. Norris wasn't close enough to challenge Piastri during that race. Although Piastri can't rely on Norris having a poor qualifying session every time, it does give him a slight advantage. He's now only 32 points behind Norris in the championship and closing in on Leclerc's 3rd position. The Singapore race could give us a completely different picture, especially as Red Bull might struggle with their setup. This race could be pivotal for McLaren's chances of winning the Drivers' Championship. If Piastri finds himself in a Baku-like situation, Norris will need to be right behind him to capitalize. According to Piastri, he wouldn't give up a win if he were leading by 10 seconds, a scenario that neither Norris nor the team would want to happen. While it might help Norris in the short term, it creates a dilemma for McLaren heading into 2025. Do you believe Piastri has what it takes to be McLaren's next world champion? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to click on the video appearing on your screen now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button and subscribe for more updates. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to check out the next video on your screen now.